UBC, inspiring Uganda. Welcome to Ground Zero Season 2, a show that brings you in-depth discussion ranging from politics, health, finance, sports, and so much more. Ground Zero Season 2.
Welcome to this edition of Ground Zero. I welcome you, all of you, wherever you're listening in from, all those who are on radio and all those who are online. We are streaming live on YouTube. You type in UBC Ground Zero and you'll be part of this very important edition of Ground Zero. Ampaire Amon of Tiger is my name, and I believe this is a very beautiful day that the Lord has made, and we must be glad and rejoice in it. This is UBC Radio. We're also live and clear on other radio stations. In case you're in Kampala, we are on 98 FM. Or in case you're in Alua, we are 97.4 FM. And in Lila, we are 99.4 FM. We're also live and connected to another radio station covering eastern parts of this country. That is Butebo Radio, which you can get on 96.9 FM in Bale, 99.4 FM in Soroti, 95.5 FM in Arua. We are also live on another radio called UBC West Nile FM that you can get us live on 98 FM in case you're in Teso, sub-region, Karamoja, and northern parts of this country. We are also live on another radio station known as Magic 100 FM. This is UBC Ground Zero, and I welcome you, all of you, especially our guests who are in the studios already. And we're going to talk about something important and which I believe concerns everybody in this country, concerns us who are living and those who are yet to come and live on this planet, and specifically on the land known as Uganda. We're joining the Youth Day, which is supposed to be celebrated on 12th this month. As we join the international community to celebrate this important day for the youth, which was yesterday. And also joining it with the World Day on Environment, which we have all celebrated already in June. That was 5th June, World Environment Day. And we are looking at the efforts of the youth in conserving the environment, because we believe that in Uganda, the youth contribute the biggest percentage of the population. And if this big percentage of our population is not involved in any of the activities that promote and protect and conserve the environment, then we are likely to have issues. So we're calling upon the youth to be part of this campaign to protect and conserve the environment. But we're also looking and going to assess their efforts, because we believe that they're the youth who are doing something and those that have left it for the government and other stakeholders, not knowing that they are also supposed to play some part. More than ever, our planet needs us to step up and take action towards cleaning up many of the messes we have made through irresponsibility. Our environment has so much been affected by human activities, oil spills, plastics, air pollution, toxic chemicals leaking into our waters. Surely there is still a lot that must be done to bring our ecosystem back into balance. That's what I always believe. And I like the statement of Margaret Mead, who said that we don't have a society if we destroy the environment. If you're destroying the environment, why do you want to stay? You're going to be drinking that water that you are dumping in that plastic or that oil. you need that land where you're putting that cavera or that plastic. We need everything that is around us. And from that background, we have our topic, our topic, enhancing youth efforts in conserving the environment. In the studios of UBC, I have Dr. Jupril Omudja, is the chairman Green Uganda campaign. I have Mr. Isa Katwesige, is the acting assistant commissioner forestry in charge of planning and development. Is coming from the Ministry of Water and Environment. I have a lady, Josephine Nanteza, is the youth leader and Kampala Youth Council publicity. We also have Mzee Faizo, is the head of media and communications from UPC Secretariat. Giving you some minutes and you greet the people of Uganda, and we start our edition, starting with the commissioner.
Yes, good morning, dear listeners. Thank you, Amon, for this opportunity to have us. My name is Isa Katwesige. I work with the Ministry of Water and Environment, acting as Assistant Commissioner for in charge of planning and development. I work in the department, forestry sector support, and that department is responsible for oversight function of the forestry sector in Uganda. Among the functions of the department, we do support the districts and NFA through a performance contract and technical backstopping on the other side, but then we're also responsible for formulating policy and the laws that govern the forestry sector. We are supposed to supervise the implementation of the policies, and at the same time, the same department plans for the sector on behalf of Ugandans. We're also responsible for promoting forestry through resource mobilization, but then also supporting entities that have an interest in forestry. So for the most part, I will be really talking. You'll understand if I bias myself to forestry as an aspect of environment. But I'll make an effort to talk on behalf of the entire environment subsector. I thank you.
We thank you too, and you're most welcome to this edition of Ground Zero. Jibril.
Let's appreciate that Ugandans are taking interest in tuning on to listen what is happening exactly, learning to take actions. Well, as Greening Uganda campaign, aiming at fostering efforts on involving local people in climate change measures. We pick interest to let the country understand or take actions as far as eco-community restoration is concerned by appreciating the increasing number of population, which is almost the fertility rate grading up to 4.8%. That is approximately every woman having more than 5 children, meaning that the negative pressure on our ecosystem is increasing. And if we don't come up, or as Greening Uganda, we basically come up to address and practically take actions to reverse the abnormal climatic changes as well as the environmental degradation-related activities. Ugandan, thank you for tuning in, and call your neighbors to tune in so that we can all learn from this session. Thank you.
Most welcome to this edition of Ground Zero once again. I think we have had you as for some time. Faizo?
I'm the party head of media and communication, and also fall under youth category. I bring from the UPC party president, the Honorable Jimmy Akena. As UPC, we have been at the forefront on issues to do with climate change, and today I bring you all those ideas we have as the Uganda People's Congress. And globally and at a continental level, the youth under age of 30 take the highest population. And at a national level, we have over 75% of the national population, they are youth. So the youth should be part and parcel of all any activities of this nation as far as development is concerned. And as far as this topic we are discussing right now on the environment and the youth is concerned, I look forward for fruitful deliberations in this discussion.
Interesting. You're also most welcome to this edition of Ground Zero. Josephine?
Thank you very much, Amon. My name is Nataza Josephine, the youth publicist for Kampala. I take this opportunity to give you greetings from my chairperson, the Kampala Youth Chairperson, and Gertrude. Thank you very much. I call upon all youths to tune in and be part of the discussion. Thank you very much.
You're most welcome. This is UBC Ground Zero. We are broadcasting live on 98 FM in Kampala. We're also live on 97.4 in Arua, 99.4 in Lira. We're also on Butebo on 96.9 FM in Mbale, 98.4 FM in Soroti, 95.5 FM in Arua. We're also live and clear on UBC West Nile FM on 98 FM. We're also live and clear on Magic 100 FM. We're also streaming live on YouTube. Put in UBC Ground Zero and you'll be part of this conversation. Later on, you're going to join us and be part of this conversation through 776-511-426. The number you can call us on later is 776-511-426, and you'll be part of this important conversation. You've had my guests in the studios of UBC, and our topic, as I said before, we are looking at how best we are enhancing youth efforts in conserving environment. Amon Obtega is my name. Let's start. My concern, and the concern of every Ugandan, of what is taking place in this country, is the challenge that we have in the eastern part of this country. People in eastern Uganda, especially in Mbale, have lost their dear ones. Others have been displaced. The same disaster, because of the floods and landslides, I think, but most specifically, to be specific, these are floods. The same disasters took place some time back in Bududa. But we seem to have not learned any lesson as the people, as the government, and other stakeholders that are involved in this kind of environment protection, if I may call it. Because the same incidents have been taking place in Kasese. Actually, the people of Kasese, as I speak now, they don't have infrastructure. All the bridges, all the roads were swept away by the floods. But how many times shall we have this happening in this country? Where is the problem? I want to take or get your opinions, all of you, on the same matter about Mbare incident, Kasese and Ududa. Where is the problem? When shall we learn as a nation and as a government and other stakeholders? Starting with you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Amon. And I want to take the opportunity once again to thank you for, bringing this topic up. As far as the disasters, of course, we have to appreciate that we are in a time of climate change, that actually weather has become very erratic. The climate is very unpredictable, starting from, whereas we have these calamities as standout, but ideally the bigger calamities are in terms of failed seasons. Like we've had challenges of failed seasons for like maybe the last 4 seasons, whereby the rains don't come on time, and when they do, it's huge volumes within a short spell, and of course we have this. But we've had a situation that, while we know what to do, the rate of involvement of everyone, the rate of establishment of the control measures, of course, doesn't match with the frequency with which we're having these calamities. Since mid-2000s, when we had the first Bududa incident, I think a lot of work has gone into sensitizing the masses, whereas we do support farmers with this kind of guidance, the materials, some of the interventions to do with soil and water conservation, but at the end of it all, it doesn't match up to the rate of protection. So it calls for involvement of everyone to do more of the self-regulation, because as we do a number of things, of course there's been indiscipline on our part as communities, that actually the way we are managing these landscapes, it has become a problem that we actually left the soils bare. And when you look at some of the statistics, we lost close to 2 million hectares of forest to land use change, and this has left, of course, the ground very bare. And of course, where we have forests, it's a whole mix of deep-rooted trees, the leguminous, the grasses that cover the soil to improve the rate of penetration. But as we clear the landscape for agriculture, for settlement, for many other things, when the rains come, the rate of infiltration in the soil actually reduces, and there is more runoff and more damage downstream. So ideally, whereas government has is making every effort to make sure that everything is done right, it's still not enough as long as the people, the frontline people on the ground, are not doing what is required, and therefore calls for involvement of everyone. So I really sympathize with the families, because what we've had in the media, for example, recently, has been that it's all in Imbala, it's in Bugisu, but we had people actually from as far as Western Uganda who also lost lives to this to the drowning. So we really condole with the families, but for the most part, whereas these stand out, the bigger problems actually cut across the entire country, and we are really worried about the impending famine, because it's already being evidenced in most parts of the country, in Karamoja, and we've had instances where government has had to divert money meant for development infrastructure to support support communities to address to this. So whereas it's cheaper to put in place measures to mitigate against these impacts, it's actually very expensive when we do remedial or respond to calamities when they've actually happened. So, but the more underlying and impending fear and challenge is going to be a failed crop year through the failed seasons, and this is just something that is likely, or that is already affecting everyone in the country through inflation, and of course, as long as food is expensive, then ideally it becomes difficult for people to survive, even those who don't mind using cash in terms of their livelihoods, but those that depend on their harvest. And I think, yes, that should be our bigger concern than even what we see, because it's actually, whereas we have these calamities, we also have the same families that are suffering to flooding and landslides also being exposed to the famine because the crops have actually failed for the most part. So it's an appeal to everyone to get involved, to do more of the self-regulation, to know that when we are doing the protection and conservation of the environment, we're not doing it for any other person, but for our own good. And our job should be more in, increasing the awareness, the education, and making sure that people take it on as their own responsibility and as take themselves as immediate beneficiaries for this good discipline in environment management and conservation. I thank you.
Most welcome. Jibril, the floods, the landslides, from one region to the other, until when?
Well, let's appreciate that Ugandans at this stage of land, and since they are the very culprits, it's our time now to do implementation. I believe we have been planning for the last years. I can give you an example that the river Namuyombe, which is in Mbari, that just flooded. When you try to move around its boundaries, you will discover that activities ongoing in its catchment areas. People are cultivating, people are setting up constructions. The river banks are just open, meaning people have been failing to do protection of the river banks, if I'm to say. And what can be the way forward now? We planned about restoration of riverbanks with bamboo tree growing. Time for actions now. That if it is to be 100 meters from the riverbank, from River Nyamwamba, operations are ongoing. The people are being extended. They are being chased away from the riverbanks, all operations. Let's appreciate that there is something being done, only that we have to add more efforts. Again, as I can say, for example, in Kalamoja, we all saw how people are dying because of hunger. It's unfortunate that this is happening in the Pearl of Africa, which we believe that it is so much fertile compared to other countries. As it happens, what are we not doing, or what can we do? For example, the 70% youth population in this country, they are educated. But almost 65% out of those educated youth, all of them, they are in occupational practices. They do survive occupationally but not professionally. And in their occupational survival, they are in charcoal burning, they are in brick making. At the same time, they are the very persons who go and encroach the river boundaries and start doing their daily survival activities. When this happens, inevitably we must suffer from the abnormal climatic changes, as it has been happening. But now, the way forward is very simple. How can we occupationally empower these people and bring restoration and addressing or reverting the abnormal climatic changes is concerned? If you go on the Gulu Road, you will count a number of vehicles coming to Kampala carrying charcoal, and at every vehicle there is a number of youth who are in that industry. This shows that these people, they are aware of what they are doing, because the very region they are getting these charcoal
the very places West Nile is very dry. They don't have food. Meaning, alternative, if you set up a site of making briquettes, these people will actively come in to take part in that alternative activities, so long as they earn a living. What should be done here, or what are we doing? We are trying to teach these people how can you make briquettes from waste materials and reduce the need of using firewood or charcoal. Provided there is income to these people, we believe if this activity is taken up and supported by various agencies, including the government, automatically positive results will be registered. You talk about the flooding. If you go to River Rizi in Mbalala, you will find that almost the most part of it is full of plastic. And when these plastics, them being non-biodegradable, inlet channels, as well as the movements, the depth of the river decreases. When this one happens, automatically the water pressure will have to increase. And in heavy rainfalls, inevitably flooding will have to occur. Therefore, how can you stop plastic Avela pollution such that you can stop or save the rivers, any other water bodies from excessive flooding? We are saying now we are doing what we call plastic recycling. That if each kilogram of plastics can be bought at 500, if you go right now at our collection site in Bwera, you will find a number of youth who are actively taking part in this activity, collecting plastics for recycling. We set up a number of collection sites with little resources available. More, the mindset will change. The positive mindset on environmental protection will be developed. The challenge we have been facing is that we have alternatives on how these people can sustainably earn a living. But since the alternatives are coming up, we are going to achieve this as fast as possible. The next thing I may say, these youth, them being in the largest numbers, we believe in farming as a backbone of our country, agriculture as our backbone. But how are we involving these people to actively take part and love the essential agriculture? How can they benefit from agriculture? We have seen, last time I was in Kapeka, I saw mango being dried fresh to be exported. This is a very good initiative. Now, can we provide raw materials? Can we have a number of mangoes, let's say 1 ton, produced daily from Kapeka, supplied to Kapeka, for people to get earning daily as they do protect the environment? What is the way forward? We have to set up various nursery beds. Our request is to set up various nursery beds. At least at every parish, we can have these seedlings accessible by local people, the very youth. Since we already have machines, various industries that are already packing these fruits for exports. In this way, we shall be providing income to local people as well as addressing the issue of climate change. because someone who earns a living from a mango tree, from an orange, will take care of that very, very tree as we revert the abnormal climatic changes in the country.
All right.
Thank you.
Most welcome. The lady, Josephine.
Yes, thank you very much. To add on what he has said, youths of today may be motivated to find solutions that can benefit their own future. For example, this goes to the youth. As I think we can organize critical dialogues in our communities to discuss these findings and brainstorm strategies for the change. On this, because you may find that many of the youths down in the communities have little knowledge about environmental conservation. And on this, as organizations like NGOs, national forestry authorities, I think when they come on ground and organize such sessions, I think I can help out the youths to have knowledge about this. And on another thing, to curb pollution, because when you look at the floods in Bali that happened, seriously, it's the role of the youth to industrialize. The role of the youth can be industrialized in policy making through advisory bodies like the youth councils and other organizations. I think when these kind of bodies come on board, it can really help us, the youth, to have much knowledge about this. And another thing, it's it starts with pollution control. Youth can help in reducing waste, attention to minor details in their daily life. For example, minimizing, we can go green with our vehicles, the transport, that is our vehicles, because they pollute the environment. Hereby, I call upon all youths having vehicles, seriously maintain them and regularly provide service to them. This can curb pollution to the environment, and it can really help us.
Interesting. Faizo, from the Secretariat of UPC, as a big political party, as the founding fathers of this nation, what do you think needs to be done to help avoid floods and such disasters that are claiming lives of the people of Uganda, as you've heard from Mbale?
Well, thank you so much, and I want to appreciate my colleagues who have already contributed. We want to, as Uganda People's Congress, we want to first send our heartfelt condolences to the people of this sub-region who lost their dear ones in the floods due to heavy downpour that side, and also those who are still nursing wounds and those who are homeless. It was really very disastrous. What we are witnessing now today, you've talked about floods, and it's not only in the Bugis sub-region, on that for it was worse compared to other regions. My colleague here, Jubri, talked about Kasese, even in Kampala we have witnessed these the grave effects of unfriendly human activities on our environment are starting to unfold. So these are some of the effects we are starting to see. To add on what my colleagues have said, we need to trace where we went wrong as a country. Like when we were growing, preserving or planting trees, it was a key aspect in our families, and also this is something we should nurture our children. Let us not wait at an adult age, that maybe the youth is at 18, at 16, at 20, that we tell them about the importance and their role as far as preserving our environment is concerned. We need to nurture them right from the year one, from ground zero. We nurture them in a system that is so are wanting in our communities, that's so wanting in our societies, so that when they grow up, they know that cutting a tree is a really very bad act. We used to have, we used to do activities to do with like cleaning our wells, like in Uganda, I used to call it Bulungi Bwansi, whereby the community can gather and they clean their local roads in their respective communities. That's all preserving environment. And even to get the firewood back in the days, you did not need to cut down a tree in order to get firewoods. Our forests, our natural forests could provide these firewoods. You could go and collect firewoods without cutting a tree. But these forests right now are no more. Even we used to have school activities where the schools could engage these children directly in these activities that can preserve our environment. We could, they could tell to plant trees on our compounds. I mean, on the school compounds, you could see trees, and even they used to challenge every class to have these trees planted, and you ensure that the tree has, or the seedling of a tree has germinated, well catered for, and at the end of the day or at the end of the year, it's turned into a bigger tree. So activities are not there right now. You can go into a school. You find just a green field. You cannot find, you hardly see a tree on the compound of a school. So these are some of the activities we forgot as a country. These are some of the activities we are not doing in our homes. So if we nurture our children in such a way that preserving the environment is very key, that when you cut down a tree, you're going to see such a flood or such a grave effect as it happened in Bududa. People died, people are dying, even in Kasese. You show these people, you show these children who are at a very younger age, I mean, in our homes, you show them what it means to have floods, what it means to cut down a tree, what it means to degrade our environment, and you show them the effects, so that they know that when I do such a thing, it's very grave. So those are some of the things we need to do in our communities. Then the other aspect, what do we need to do? Like we are having, before I go on the solutions, my brother about river, I mean the water banks, and also the other aspect, we destroyed our water catchment areas. I'm very happy that the official from the National Forest Authority, the commissioner, is here. Our water catchment areas are no more. We are seeing people bring trucks of malam, bring trucks of hardcores, poured into our wetlands. They broke the water banks, and when we receive these heavy downpours after a long dry spell, this water has nowhere to go. The presses that used to hold this, the water, they are no more. We are seeing factories, we are seeing industries, we are seeing powerful mansions, and then at the end of the day, we come here and do blame game on the people who are not even really concerned, on the people who did not even contribute to this. So last time I saw in the Otuke district, and the commission is here will clarify, when the authority ordered to slash down the rice plantation, that was almost harvestation. But now, where was the authority before, even at the stage of plowing, at the stage of planting, and even almost we are not encouraging encroaching on our wetlands. But where were they when these people were doing all that process, plowing, planting, even the rice plantation grown to the stage of almost harvesting? Then you order to cut it down. So those are, we are seeing that due diligence is not being done. Due diligence is not being done. So when we bring the aspect of the role of the youth in this aspect, I will emphasize, we need to nurture them in such a system that they know that this is the right thing to do. And the other aspect, we have a very biggest challenge. In my introduction, I told you that we have over 75% of the national population are the youth in this country, Uganda. And how do we get use of this population, of this youthful labor, so that we also as a country benefit from them, but also as they also benefit and grow themselves into very important people in our communities. We have a challenge of unemployment among the youth. It's very big. And these people, they are also trying to get the ends meet in the day here and there. So my brother talked about that they are cutting down trees on to do charcoal burning as a means of income, and which we are not encouraging. Is really bad. But then the other aspect which government has come in to do in the country, we are producing the power which we cannot even utilize. We have a lot of power. I'm talking about electricity, but again, to our disappointment as a country, it's very expensive. Yet the only industry that has accommodated a number of our youth in the country is the salon industry. If you can try to observe across the country, these people who are who are in informal sector, because of these youth who are not former employed, they're in informal sector and they are trying to forge here and there. Most of them they're in salon, they're in mobile money. But look at the power. Salon needs power, but it's very expensive. Mobile money. As UPC, we advocated that they put that double taxation, which allowed the mobile money. I mean the mobile money tax on this business, because it's accommodating. It's by the way, it's helping the government, because as government we have failed to effectively put mechanisms or create opportunities for our youth. So when they come up, when they do their way, they do mobile money business, we put huge tax. They do salons, power is expensive. So those are some of the things we need to tap into. We need to look at and see that our people are accommodated. By so doing, we shall not find these youths cutting down trees which are doing us a disservice and having this climate change effects. This will help us in a bit to conserve our environment. We have had so many of wasteful youth opportunities in this country. So if we are discussing the environment conservation, we cannot discuss in isolation. We bring the aspect, as the commissioner said, the climate change. We bring in the aspect of the unemployment, and we bring the aspect of the opportunities the government has put in place to address these issues. Because we are trying to trace the real cause, because these are just effects. So if we look at some of the opportunities, like the youth livelihood program that was brought to empower the youth so that they can leave issues to do with the charcoal burning, the bricks laying, which are in general, they try to encroach on our environment, and they're not doing us good as far as conserving environment is concerned. Some of these programs, they have they have almost failed, or they have, if not totally, they have almost failed to achieve their sole purpose. Right. As I conclude, this year theme, the national theme for the International Youth Day was intergenerational solidarity, the role of the youth in the implementation of the partnership development model. Then the international one was creating creating a world for ages. So I want to emphasize the government, or to call upon the government, that at least let them ensure that this project of the PGM is effectively implemented. Under their own, we encourage them to first launch it at a piloting scheme. Let them first do a case study. They do it at a pilot study, so that maybe to 10 or 30%, so that they know how effective it is, so that we cannot follow the footsteps of the previous several activities that have failed, like yoga, the youth livelihood program. At the end of the day, that these people have benefited. And we have had, in just 1 second, of the intergenerational solidarity. We have had a very big problem in generations, where you have the youth, the old, the what. All of us, we don't need to appreciate our our relevance in the community.
Thank
so
you.
we need to work together
Thank you.
as we continue with the program.
Thank you. Faizo, were you happy that the government extended the youth celebration of the International Day without informing the youth?
By the way, I am really not very happy. And in our press conference on Wednesday, we addressed the issue of the International Youth Day. And we learned through the National Youth Council that this program was was extended. Most of these activities like celebration, we don't hold them for just celebration, just to celebrate, but we hold them to account for the youth, what are the opportunities there for them, what activities as the government has created for them.
We have for many times celebrated this, but what have they changed?
Now, the biggest issue here, in fact, that's the same question as the Uganda People's Congress have the government. We have had a number of celebrations, but what what importance? They are of what importance the youth? Because we want the government to hold these national celebrations. Not only the youth, we have also had the women, the labor, all those national celebrations. Let them account to the country, account those respective.
Thank you.
Respective industries, like the youth industry, that as we celebrate, we have these ABCD opportunities for you, and this way we have reached. That's the role of holding. That's the main gist of holding those national celebrations. Not just celebrating for celebrating. What are we celebrating? We need to celebrate with
enhancing youth efforts in conserving the environment is our topic, and Ampaire Amon Obtega is my name. In the studios, I have Isi Katwesige, is the acting Assistant Commissioner Forestry, Planning and Development from the Ministry of Water and Environment. I have Dr. Jibril S. Owomujsha, is the Chairman Greening Uganda Campaign. Mzee Faizo, Head of Media and Communications from UPC Secretariat, and Josephine Nanteza is the youth leader. You reach us on 776-511-42. 776-511-426. We're going for a very short break, and we are coming back in a bit. I pray you don't go away. This is UBC Ground Zero.
This is Ground Zero Season 2. Stay tuned. We shall be right back. It's hot.
We passed it. We didn't know exactly what the problem was on the ground. There is no pretending about the effect of this thing. There's no pretending about it. Nobody showed. It's a problem.
It's balanced.
This is not the stage at which you start planning to tax a commodity like coffee, especially from down there.
It's intellectually engaging.
The Constitution provides that the land must be registered under the casual tenure system, which is one of those that's recognized by the Constitution.
Ground Zero Season 2, live and syndicated on your public and national broadcaster, UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Radio Ground Zero every Saturday from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. We host credible and relevant guests to discuss pertinent issues of national importance aimed at addressing people's concerns. UBC Radio Ground Zero, right here on UBC Radio.
It's hot.
We passed it. We didn't know exactly what the problem was on the ground. There is no pretending about the effect of this thing. There's no pretending about it. Nobody showed. It's a problem.
It's balanced.
This is not the stage at which you start planning to tax a commodity like coffee, especially from down there.
It's intellectually engaging.
The Constitution provides that the land must be registered under the casual tenure system, which is one of those that's recognized by the Constitution.
Ground Zero Season 2, live and syndicated on your public and national broadcaster, UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Welcome back from that very short break. This is UBC Ground Zero. We're broadcasting live on 98 FM UBC. We're also live on 97.4 FM in Arua, 99.4 FM in Lira. We're also live on Butebo Radio on 96.9 FM in Mbale, 98.4 FM in Soroti, and 95.5 FM in Arua. We're also live and clear on West Nile FM on 98 FM, and also live and clear on Magic 100 FM. Ampaire Amon of Tegra is my name. We are looking at how best we can conserve the environment at the youth. We are assessing the youth efforts in conserving the environment. In the studios, I have Jipril, is the chairman, Greening Campaign Uganda. Issa Katwesige is the acting assistant commissioner, forestry, planning and development from the Ministry of Water and Environment. Josephine Nanteza is the youth leader, and Mzai Faitho is coming from UPC as the head of media and communications. You will reach us live on 776-511-426 to be part of this conversation. Going back to the studios, Mr. Jupril, you mentioned something important, that when you go on the roads that connect to Kampala as the capital city of this country, you will start counting the trucks that are bringing in charcoal. Contrary to what used to have many trucks carrying food stuffs to Kampala, the story has changed. Can the youth use the same energy that they are putting in destroying the environment, charcoal, and the others, to other activities that conserve the environment? Jipril?
Clearly, I can say that we have to set up alternative means on how these people can sustainably survive. These people are looking for survival. That's why they will have to clear the very trees, the indigenous trees that have been existing for years, for them to earn a living through charcoal burning. But having identified this, how can we end this? I talked about making briquettes. These are cooking fuel that is made out of wastes. And this is a program that is running by private sectors, not government. First, not enough resources to empower this program countrywide. What can we do? Let government come up and join the implementation or the use of briquettes across the country. We have electricity in Uganda. Cooking by electricity is very, very good and possible, provided the tariffs are low and cheaper. What do I mean here? We have people who are operating with big hotels in Kampala. You find that very person using a truck of firewood daily, using 2 sacks of charcoal daily. What does that person need is low electric bills. This person will actively use the electricity for cooking. Now, how can you sustainably have these people, the youth who have been doing charcoal burning, earning a living? I talked about agroforestry programs. This is where we are encouraging the growing of short-term plants like the mangoes, the fruits, basically, the cabbage, the vegetables. These are things that can easily earn a living to a local person, to a farmer, a graduate, diverting the intention of earning income through charcoal burning, timber, lumbering, and ETCs. For example, we have seen women in Kampala who are selling mango. Each mango goes up to 2,000. And these mangoes are from Kenya. They are not from here. They will identify this gap and empower local people. Provide them with organic fertilizers, organic pesticides, and encourage what we call that process of agroforestry. Let them intercrop. This will create a windbreaker, a wind barrier into their plantations, as well as addressing the issue of climate change. They will earn a living for food security, household income, as well as creating green jobs for these people. This one can be done. For example, they are talking about parish model as far as the youth day is concerned. As far as forestry, we would wish or we would request Can we have extra numbers of nursery beds established across the country? Faizo talked about that forests are nowhere. No, forests are there. And they are increasing, but the rate at which they are increasing is very, very gradual compared to the negative pressure that is being applied. What can we do? Or how can we rejuvenate the efforts? Can we have at least every parish? These people, they can intercrop. We have trees like Kaliandra in Sri Lanka. This tree is highly appreciated in Kabale ends, where people are doing beekeeping. This is a tree that is nitrogen fixer in the soils, serving as fodders. When you go to Catro Corridor, you saw the dry spells in Chiruhula, in Kazo, in Uganda. People, cattle having no food. This is very tricky that we have failed to relate the activity that can be done to suit into our expectations as volunteers, as environmentalists and government agencies.
Okay.
Yes.
Commissioner, among the things that have destroyed the environment are the human activities, as some of you are mentioning. But we see you as also government, as you said, you're the supervisor. Why is it that you have allowed the industries to settle in areas where we expect nobody to stay?
Well, ideally, the function of land...
You tell people not to settle in swamps, but you allow and give a license to the industries to operate there. Yet the industries are more dangerous than human settlement.
Well, we have to admit that, there are challenges in terms of settling people in in wetlands or wherever. But actually, if you actually realized, you'll appreciate that forestry as a sector has also been victimized, has been on the receiving end of some of these decisions. And for the most part, we've had instances where actually we've lost court cases in trying to make an effort to that. And of course, everything has to be really done within the confines of the law. But as the political will now gets into making sure that actually we obey land use, and as a now we're having a land use policy, and with the new board of physical planning, we believe that they will be harmonized. We'll have harmonization in trying to do the right thing. For the most part, there's been confusion in terms of having titles on some of these gazetted protected areas. But now, as Ministry of Lands works on putting in place, digitizing most of these protected areas on the National Land Information System, we believe there will be overlaps in terms of such controversies. Yes, in some places we have industrial parks established by law, and in such instances where like wetlands have been either vanquished and it's been decided that these areas serve as industrial parks, of course.
That's where my concern is. Most of the industrial parks that we are mentioning about, most of them are in the lowland areas. Namanve, the industrial area, this one in Kampala, the Mbarara, all of them. Is it that industries are fit in the lowland areas and not in the raised one?
Yes, like I mentioned earlier, of course, there is always, there is this, what they call cost-benefit analysis. On our part, as the environment sector, of course, we'll give our opinion of what it is. But like I mentioned, that the environment sector is kind of, most of these free spaces, and also looking at, you'll find that you're also on the receiving end of some of these challenges, because the mandate with industrial parks, of course, lies with the investment authority. And for the most part, even within the industrial parks, irrespective of where these industrial parks are, there has to be guidance, because there is provision in there that there is impact assessment done for those places. It's not like when an area is gazetted as an industrial park that it should all be constructed 100%. Some of these blue spaces need to be preserved, but ideally at the implementation part, this is something that gets abused at that allocation level. But what you have on paper, you find that the industrial parks have those green spaces that are supposed to be protected and maintained. And yes, so where people go beyond.
Do you really do assessment? That assessment, or you just issue licenses and industries are free to settle and be established anywhere they fit?
Now, for industrial parks, but I beg your pardon, when it comes to allocating land or issuing permits or licenses, whether it's an industrial park, whether it's an individual factory, there has to be that EIA approval. So for industrial park, actually, it's more, it's way above the threshold for it to go without impact assessment. So, of course, and NEMA puts this in place because there are always these conditions of approval that are given. Now, the challenge comes with enforcing those conditions, making sure that everything is as should be on paper. And it comes down to the capacity of the entities actually to enforce that. And like my colleagues already mentioned here regarding presence and the support to communities, which include the youth, ideally it requires to have people on ground that guide. Sometimes some of these mistakes are not done deliberately, but because the people who are implementing these approved infrastructure actually are not aware of what should be done right. But then the challenge is in having the technical people present everywhere where these inspections are being done. And by the time you discover that actually things have gone wrong, it's after something is already set up.
Mr. Katwesige, do the people of Uganda still need NEMA and National Forest Authority, because their existence means of less impact, because the environment is destroyed, the floods are killing the people of Uganda, the landslides, people settling in wetlands, investors investing in wetlands. We have the investor taking the popular swamp on your way to Mbarara. Where is NEMA? Our Mabira is halfway taken. No forestry in this Uganda.
Well,
NFA is there. NEMA is well established with very good policies, good structures, good people. The teams are full, getting money every day. But when the people of Uganda are dying every day, do we still really need NEMA and National Forestry Authority?
Well, thank you, Amon, for that. But just to go back to the foundational principles, of course, the people of Uganda still need NFA. The people of Uganda still need NEMA for the right for the exact functions for which these institutions
have they not failed their functions, their responsibilities?
Yes, I can actually tell you with confidence, at least for that these institutions, if we appreciate the challenges, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how much money or how present NEMA is out there in the public, if the public is not going to cooperate with these institutions. But also to mention about NFA, for example, you mentioned Mabira. I want to also inform you that NFA and in terms of what we have in this country, what we call the permanent forest estate. The permanent forest estate, at the start of the implementation of the current National Forestry and Tree Planting Act, NFA, the permanent forestry estate, was basically the land that is gazetted under NFA and UA, and then also the local forest reserves in the district forest services, constituting about 30% of the forest estate in Uganda. 70% of the forest resource is actually, or was at least for the forested land, is on private land, areas outside the protected areas. And when you go to the statistics, you'll find the amount of loss on these protected areas vis-a-vis how much we've lost on the private land is actually is a very big difference. What we've lost in the protected areas is minimal compared to how much we've lost on private land. And as in terms of capacity, as long as we have this the constitution that gives people the right to own their land, and you find that there are thresholds on how much when someone is, say, converting forest land, and the focus here is mainly for industries and huge land use changes. But actually the biggest problem is in people who are digging one hole at a time, because the impact is much greater on private land.
There is more of dry land which is not utilized. Why not utilize this one and we leave the swamps and wetlands alone?
Well, like I mentioned from the start, of course I can't speak for the wetlands for the most part, because I'm not so conversant on the day-to-day. But
as a Ugandan,
yes, but
and
as a
working
Ugandan,
with the same industry.
Yes, that is true. I mentioned earlier already that we have the approval mechanisms, but then we have a challenge with enforcing these approvals.
Which you are part of that approval mechanism.
Yes, that is true. But as long as you have a hostile kind of recipient, because that is actually the biggest challenge, that when it comes to enforce the approved, because whatever approval is given, there are conditions for that approval. Be it people who are like given land even in forest reserves to plant, people who are licensed to plant in forest reserves. Something as simple as that has equally been, there have been cases of abuse where that is abused.
Okay.
But then in terms of, approving industries, I think you've had on several occasions the minister, the ED NEMA actually indicating the fraction of the proposed budget that is approved, and then also in terms of what budgets are approved, when you go to the approved budget and the percentage of that which is actually released, you'll actually not blame NEMA for the most part for failing to do this. But enforcement requires resources, requires manpower, requires cooperation from the people.
Thank you.
Yes, and maybe before I go down, in my opening, I also mentioned the issue of self-regulation. Self-regulation can only come with education, people appreciating this. That comes with incentives in some places, but for the most part, it's actually educating the masses so that, yes, there is vigilance even on the side of the public, because as long as the public does not come forward to, put these things in place or bring these issues to the attention of people, we've had those people actually come forward and shout, and NEMA has actually taken action after free citizens have come out to complain about.
It would be the Ministry of Water and Environment, NEMA, NFA, to sensitize, as you say. But if themselves they are not part of the protection and their efforts are not so much felt and realized, how best shall the people of Uganda be involved in this?
Well,
let me bring in, you had something to say?
Yes, I have something to say, because in terms of education, of course, there is a lot that happens through communication. And there is separation of functions within the government itself, like where you'll know by different ministries and agencies. But we have these strategies and policies in place that we've tried actually to implement by involving the public.
Okay.
And like Doctor here mentioned, we have situations where, you know, even when you talk of forest cover, like, yes, it's possible that we've lost a lot of natural forest, true. But it's still also debatable on whether we don't actually have tree cover that much, because from 2015 we have had a positive net increment in forest cover since 2015 for 5 consecutive years.
Okay.
And the percentage of forest cover has improved from 9% to 12.4% at the end of 2020.
Okay.
And as we do that, at the same time, that forest cover does not include the forests that you see, say, in Imbuya or Kololo, Golf Course, and on Nakasero, because that is considered more of a built environment.
Okay,
yeah,
thank you. Faizo, you've heard from the commissioner that we shouldn't so much blame NEMA. But in me, I'm thinking, whose responsibility to conserve the environment of Uganda? Is it so much on the government, or it is so much to the citizens of this country, who at the end of the day being affected by the same disasters that emanate from environmental destruction? Faizo?
Thank you so much. First of all, allow me to clarify what Dr. Jubilee said, that I said complete that there are no forests in the country. I didn't say that, but we have encroached on them. And it's good that the commissioner has helped me to acknowledge or clarify more on that, that still they are there, but not in their natural setting. We have encroached on them. Then the other issue, it's good you put it the commissioner straight away that where have they been as the authority in charge of this. Right, to answer your specific question, before the government, it's a personal responsibility. Because when these floods occurs or happens, it affects an individual. Now we have seen them sweeping away the homes, killing people, sweeping out the bridges. So we need to take the responsibility as the people in the country and see that I need to plant a tree, I need to do this. But then the biggest prayer in this is the government. Because it's the government.
It all starts with the government.
Yes. A personal responsibility, but the biggest prayer in this is the government. Because the government in charge provides and directs the country where it should be, or where it should be moving or heading. And the government is just the government, just has, it's not a, how can I say it? It's not a tree, it has got branches. Just like this department is concerned with this, and in this specific case, we have the Ministry of Environment and Water, and also the National Forest Authority. So what we need to do, we need to lead by example. What do I mean? The government need to lead us in this conservation of the environment.
Interesting.
Yes, they have been singing the reforestation and planting of trees, which is really a very good idea that should be embraced by any by any citizen that loves his or their countries.
Okay.
So, but can we see some of the projects by the government that this plantation is for the government, for us to borrow from, as much as my responsibility as an individual, but the government is encouraging us. But what some of the projects by the government? Let us say that let them show us that this forestry on a number of acres is for the government. Even our leaders, you see, let us not, there are good policies we appreciate, there are good ideas we appreciate, but their practicability How are they implementing them?
Interesting.
Even our leaders themselves, like the MPs, the what, all of them, they are seeing planting trees. We have had these marches, tree plantation march, 1 million seeding, 1 million trees. We have had all these, all these crusades in a bid to try to restore our environment. But what are they doing? So what we need to do, if not, I think Jubril and the commissioner talked about some of these companies. If you look at the biggest encroacher on our environment, they are these investors. And you straight away asked the commission that who are giving the licenses? Those people who are clearing them. So in my view, we need to go back to our roots. And we see where we went wrong.
Thank you.
We are
Josephine.
We are torturing our common people who been who have been misplaced, or who have these kind of land evictions. They have sometimes forced these people maybe to settle. Misery settle in such areas that are not around. But again, we are officially allowing other can I say investors to do business in our
Josephine
reserves.
Josephine, yes. In a situation where the authorities, NEMA, NFA, the ministry, they seem to be neglecting the environment and their cause and responsibility. Even the citizens of this country also are taking the same route by cutting down trees, as Jubril said, to earn a living. What is the role of the youth? Because the citizens are taking a different direction, the government is also taking another direction, and the authorities that are involved in this seem not to. They are doing, but perhaps to a small extent. What is the role of the youth in this situation to make sure that our environment is protected? Josephine.
Thank you very much. The role of the youth, first of all, is as youths, we have to change our lifestyle by making our homes, schools, our communities like a environmental friendly community for us, because you cannot live in a poor environment and assume the government to come and help you. It starts with you as a youth. And on that note, as youths, we are the majority. We have to come up with campaigning groups, because we have a lot of we all have social media platforms to play as a campaigning platform to conserve our environments. And on that note, we should, as youths, we should buy sustainable products. We should know what to buy, what we really need. We shouldn't just buy things that aren't been like that we really don't need. In that case, you find that youths, we buy things concerning to the promotion that is on the market, and we don't look at how environmental, how can I state it? Friendly it is to us and our environment. For example, you find that youths buy more of plastic stuffs, and at the end of the day they really don't need them, but you may find that I buy more of plastic bottles like water. You find me carrying like 5 bottles of water, instead of buying one movable plastic bottle that I can buy 1 glass of water, put it in my bottle, move with it, and dispose it in a careful or in a suitable place. You find that you buy those bottles and throw them in wholly, messing them up all over the environment. And another thing, as youths, we should save our resources. When I talk about resources, I talk about water and electricity, as my colleague said. We really don't know that 0.03% of the 70% of water available to us, fresh water. And in that, we can save water, most important for freshwater ecosystem. By doing this, simple things like avoiding washing clothes, turning your taps off while brushing, while washing, and that can help like conserving our environment. Because the more we should be more important and mindful of the consumption of water that we use. Because the more you misuse that water that you're having, the more the environment. Sorry.
Okay. Thank you, Josephine. Jibril, I am one of the people that have been following your campaign, and I really like what you're doing. But why is it important for the youth to engage in such environmental activism?
Well, first of all, we believe that the youth are the who are highly energetic to push this agenda enthusiastically to all corners. This can be done, or is being done, in schools. We have so far chapters in Makedele, we have a chapter in Mbarara, and these people are actively sending the information, amplifying our call to the local people. For example, we have just moved on with UNSA, the Uganda National Student Association, to have a policy of my tree, my name drive in all schools. We started with Impiji schools, where 1,200 trees have been delivered to the ground, basically to be planted in this rainy season. What do I mean here? These people will help us to push the agenda. They can easily talk to their parents. We were at SMAC recently, where we planted 1,000 trees with parents inclusive in the compound of a school, meaning that they can easily see where the future is going, as well as protecting what is available. Next, on the issue of plastic Kavera pollution, I would wish to thank our Minister for Environment for again retabling the move of having a total ban on Kavera production. And I can give hopes to the government that we as Greening Uganda campaign, we already have a number of youth who already have paper bags which are ready in place to replace Kavera use in the country. As far as plastic Kavera pollution is concerned still, we came up with a move of recycling plastics into pavers, into culverts, into roofing tiles. This is being done. I thank Coca-Cola, I thank NEMA for being our very good friends. We recently had an exhibition at Serena on how these products can be on market. We call upon government to extensively come up with support and say, today we no longer need plastic production in the country. Then the youth will get empowered. How? We need every plastic, 20 pieces of plastic bottles make a kilogram. Each kilogram is 500. If government puts a ban, these people will automatically come and support our movement of having these bricks out of plastics in place for sale. In addition, we have private policy programs. We appreciate people that under one constituency, one military program, starting with Uganda, people are coming up actively, welcome the information of restoration, using the little available lands. Having known that they are too much in love with eucalyptus, pines, these are exotic trees of which we don't really we don't support so much. We come up with the fruits. I thank NFA for always providing us with the seedlings. I thank UNRA. They gave us the movement on Nyakashita up to Fort Portal Road. We are doing what we call urban forestry program. This urban forestry program, how are we involving the youth? Creating a pit is 500. Putting a tree in that pit is another 500. Making a total of 1,000 per pit. So now we already have another team, the local-based contractors, who are taking care of these trees. My thing is, or my request, if government says, let's have all roads in Uganda under urban forestry program planted with these trees, do you know a number of youth that will be employed in this activity? The solutions are in place. We only need empowerment and practical implementation of these solutions. We may not keep talking as well as beating around the bush. What should be done? Or what should we need? We need synergistic relationships. We have churches, we have mosques on ground, which are very good platforms for sensitizing local people. How can we have them in? You find a church, you find a mosque having a piece of land. If we talk to them, we encourage them that, no, do you know, we have a nursery bed in Imbarara. NFA has a nursery bed in Imbarara. Ours is in Uganda. Go and get trees. Encourage every farmer, every church leader, every mosque leader, every participant in that very religious place to come up with at least a forest of 10 trees. I can assure you we shall sustainably have something which can be evaluated as far as our community restoration is concerned. For the case of these areas of Mbare, of Karamoja, this is going to happen across the country if we don't take actions urgently. What can we do? We have seen that agriculture can be practiced via irrigation farming. I was in Nakasongola, where Lake Choga is the main neighbor. But Nakasongola, hardly could you find even an orange that is ready to be eaten.
Okay.
That one is very risky if we don't come up with irrigation farming policies. This goes to our fellow authority makers, if they can come up with the ways of pumping our water which is available. You pump water supply to local people so that they can have at least 3 seasons in a year. We already have a market for these products. I talked about packing fresh mangoes, packing pineapples. It is being done in Kapeka by these industries. Now, we need raw materials. Let's not again import mangoes from Kenya, yet it is the part of Africa which is not so much fertile.
Jibril,
Yes.
you are encouraging Ugandans to plant new trees.
Yes.
When we are losing old ones, what is the logic behind this campaign? Our Mavira is no more and so many forests. What have you done to help keep the grown-up trees as we plant new ones?
Very good. I first of all thank the government and via the Ministry of Water and Environment for appreciating our efforts. First of all, in the review of the Uganda Forestry Policy 2001, the point of interest was on collaborative forestry management. Here, we emphasized the setup of guidelines and following up on the implementation. If we talk about an ecotourism, how should it be done? If someone is given an opportunity of establishing an eco-tourist site, an ecotourism site, let's say in Imbarifa Forest up there, let the government follow up and see what is being done. Provided that person is not in line with the guidelines, automatically let's have the contract halted. If not, we have those under collaborative management, we have that policy halted as far as these people failing to actively work or abide themselves to the guidelines. Another issue is on policy making. Last time I saw a member of parliament raising the issue that we should extend Guru University into a certain forest reserve.
Are you not in any way?
No,
does this campaign being not one-sided? Is your campaign exclusive? Because I thought you'd be promoting and protecting the forest we have as we add more trees.
There is no way how you can say you are protecting Uganda's forestry cover without protecting the already existing forests. I was giving an example.
That's what I was telling
that reforestation is very, very tedious compared to afforestation. Every tree planted needs more than 20 years of active caring, monitoring for it to make a forest. I was giving an example that with this negative policy making, we may not achieve the goal of protecting our forests. How? If a member of parliament can say, we extend a university in a central forest reserve, then we replant that forest somewhere. That is the worst mistake. Meaning that very person is not sensitized as far as living with the Central Forest Reserve is concerned. Someone said that these forests are eating a business land in Namambi, that it is a business site, so we couldn't allow forests to stay there. That is wrong, and we are fighting on mindset change.
Okay.
Let's have a positive mindset as far as restoration is concerned. We shall have the existing forest protected.
Interesting. This is UBC Ground Zero. We are broadcasting live on 98 FM. We are also live and clear on our other radio stations, UBC Butebo, covering eastern parts of this country, West Nile FM, Magic 100 FM, and we're streaming live on YouTube. Opening my lines that you also share your opinions on what you think needs to be done to conserve and protect our environment. Our topic is enhancing youth efforts to conserve the environment. UBC Ground Zero takes a very short break, and when I come back, you will be picking your calls.
This is Ground Zero Season 2. Stay tuned. We shall be right back. Welcome back. Ground Zero Season 2 continues.
Welcome back from that very short break. This is UBC Ground Zero. We're broadcasting live on 98 FM, UBC Radio, enhancing youth efforts to conserve the environment. What do you think needs to be done to conserve, to protect the environment? In the studios of UBC, I have Isi Katwesige, is the Acting Assistant Commissioner Forestry, Planning and Development. From the Ministry of Water and Environment, I have Jibril Eswomujsha is the Chairman Greening Campaign Uganda. Mzee Faizo is the Head of Media and Communications from UPC Secretariat. And Josephine Nanteza is the Youth Leader and Kampala Youth Council Published. UBC 7765111 is the number that you can reach us on and you share your opinions. Live on UBC. Hello?
My name is Sam Ojok.
Your name again?
Sam Ojok.
Sam Ojok, your opinion, please.
I'm calling from Lira.
You're calling from Lila. Interesting.
Yeah, so I need so much.
Mm.
And to look at protection of our environment in this way. They need to come up with a policy that reduces the cost of gas, so that the citizens can use it as a source of fuel. Because when you go to the local areas, in the rural areas, most people are depending on wood as source of fuel. So if the government could come up with a policy that reduces the cost of gas, so that our citizens can use gas as source of fuel, cook at their homes, I think this can protect the environment.
All right.
Otherwise, I thank you very much. I'm one of the people struggling to mitigate the effects of climate change. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, and greetings to the people of Leader.
Thank you very much.
98 FM, UBC Radio, UBC Ground Zero. 776511426 is the number that you can call right now and share your opinion about our topic, enhancing youth efforts to conserve the environment. UBC? UBC, you can call us again on 776511426 and share your opinions. UBC? Hello? UBC? Please, when you call, switch off your radio or extend that you may not create that echo. UBC?
Hello, UBC Ground Zero.
Yes, sir.
This is your Kia from Bukedea.
Okay, from?
Kia Raymond from Bukedea.
Okay, sir.
Now, that's a very interesting topic. The issue here is about the sustainability. Since climate change, I retired in 2013. They had started talking of climate change, and we're seeing that these people are joking. But now that we have started having no water, having no rain, having drought, crops drying, flash floods, I think people are opening up their minds. But my problem here, because I'm now in the village, I do a bit of agroforestry,
Thank you.
In a year, I plant between 20 and 30 trees.
Interesting.
I have oranges, I have pines, like that, eucalyptus. But the problem is, it is not a sustainable project because you are amongst the thousands of the villagers. They just don't see. I think government is not doing enough. Because like me, if they could give me 10 million for tree planting, don't you think I would plant a forest? Now, the bad thing is, nobody is in that man. We hear there is a green fund, America, the UN meetings, but those things end in big people's stomach. Right? Who are in the village, who are even most affected, nobody cares. Then issue about rural electrification. I have a kilometer away from where the main line runs. But now, I want power, but getting power looks like going to heaven. Get what I mean? I'm near a primary school which needs power. I like me, I would have used that power for production. Like we are in my area here, they grow maize. I mean it. The last tip of Bukede, bordering Sebe, bordering Bugisu Sironko.
Mr. Okay, have you raised such issues to the local to the local authorities like sub-county and?
This is what I'm telling you, that these things are just blood fucking. Because sorry to use a very shrewd language, but we mention these things, but the people say we have a district environment officer, isn't it? These people, we don't see them in the villages, but they are very smart in the offices, and when you get even what they are given, they complain they don't have means of transport, they don't have fuel.
How about if you ask them
deploying an officer who cannot come to sensitize this in the community?
And when you visit them in their offices, what do they tell you?
My friend, they say they don't have resources.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Even the agri can vet. These things cuts across, because me, I'm at the same time a mini farmer.
Okay, sir.
Veterinary what? So I think government is paying lip service. Let them uplift the what? The funding.
Thank you, Mr. Kaya.
Yeah.
Greetings to the people of Gadia. 776511426 is the number that you can reach us on, and you share your opinions or raise your concerns on what you think needs to be done to conserve the environment. I love the fact that Mr. Kea is planting trees and protecting the environment in Bukedia, but he's saying the government is not supporting them. 98 FM.
Howdy, boss.
Yes, sir.
How is there?
Fine, thank you. Your name and where are you calling us from?
I'm calling Atir Bosco from Mukono.
Bosco?
Atir Bosco from Mukono.
Okay, sir.
Fact that the guy from Bukedia. He gave me the right information from down there, from the ground.
True.
Up to district level. Sometimes we have from local men from down here, sometimes we feel like we are rubbish from the village.
What do you think the youth need to do to conserve the environment?
So it's of environment. Sometimes now we are forgetting, because now where we are, we don't know what is the government and where we are going now.
Okay. Thank you, sir. 98 FM, UBC Radio. Reach us on 776-511-426 and share your opinions and ideas on what you think needs to be done to conserve the environment. UBC.
Okay, again. About the youth.
Yeah?
The youth don't have land. That is one thing you must know. Youth and women, according to our land tenure, they don't have land. So where do they plant trees? Two, the youth don't appreciate using a hoe as a means of development or what. Say that is work for those who never went to school. The hoe is the one which feeds Uganda. So I think the youth must be put into groups. Like you said, those groups, I am amazed. In my place, they gave those money. They decided to buy computers in the village. I am amazed. I think now,
even when you don't have electricity,
planting this youth fund.
Okay.
They bought computers. Now computers for what in the village?
Thank you, sir.
The direction of people who have the program is a problem.
Okay, sir. Let me get the last caller. 776-511-426 is the number that you can call and share your opinion. The last UBC.
Hello.
UBC.
Yes, good morning. You are talking to Joshua from West Nile.
Joshua from West Nile.
Yes, sir.
How is the campaign to conserve the environment so far?
Thank you very much. In fact, thanks to those officers, especially the assistant commissioner. The issue of protecting the environment, where I say we need to first start with sustainability, and the government should provide some alternative for source of energy, especially in the villages, because in the villages people rely on charcoal and this local firewood, where in fact it destroys the environment so much. Two, I blame these licensing officers in the districts and the sub-counties, because someone can give license to someone to go deep in the villages, where at least those areas where you find that the environment is somehow protected, but these people on the ground, they go now and carry out the numbering in the big villages where rain used to come. That's why when these kids now you see the climate change is so.
All right.
So thank you very much.
Most welcome, Joshua, and greetings to the people of West Nile.
Okay.
UBC 98 FM, also live on Butebo, West Nile FM, and Magic 100 FM. UBC Ground Zero. Allow me pause the callers for now. If time allows, our time is fast spent. Let me go back to the studios as you answer some of the concerns of the callers as we wrap up the program, because our time is fast spent. Let me start with the lady. You have some actually 1 minute to address all the issues, but also to give your final comment. Josephine.
Yes, Aman. My issue is I call upon all the youths, basically youths from Kampala, to join our campaign. As the Kampala Youth Council, we started this campaign last year, and so far we've planted like 1,000 trees in Kampala, and we are very happy. I take the appreciation to Kampala Capital City Authority through the Executive Director, Madam Chisaka. She gave us the opportunity and she gave us a go ahead to plant trees all over the roadsides, and we are happy for this. And the project is still on, and this year we are planning to do the same. And another thing, I call upon youths, please, to conserve our communities, take caution on what we do, and what nation or what country or what city do we really need? Okay. Yeah.
Interesting. Faizo?
Thank you so much. Our callers like Okia, from Lila, Bukedia, and West Nile respectively, they talked on very important aspects. Like they say that the government is trying to shift from charcoal fired to using gas and electricity, but how sustainable it is, because most of the local people, they cannot afford, given to the economy, poverty, and whatsoever, and family. We are coupled with all those things. So how sustainable are they? So they call upon reducing on the price of the gas, which is really very wanting, and the government should look at that if we are ready to help our people to shift, because the process, you're not going to come one day and order, no, because also the economy also matters. Then the other aspect, the issue of inclusion. We have had a number of programs, but the youth have been called upon at the stage of implementation when they were not consulted or were not involved, consulting, but involved in the process, for them to appreciate that the idea they are bringing on the table for them is really very good idea, so that they can appreciate its relevance and its importance when they are implementing. Then lastly, the issue of effective practical policies. I can give you one example. They came up with the policy law a few years ago of banning miniskirts in town, but they were they were on those who are putting on them, but they didn't ban the companies that are producing or manufacturing these miniskirts and those importing them, but they were challenging the end user, which is not really a very good direction. They should stop the companies from producing. I'm answering this in respect to what Dr. Jibril said of banning the production of plastic products. You cannot come on the user, but let us ban the production, the companies that are really doing this. And in UPC, we have really put up a good fight in a way of sensitizing, in a way of offering good ideas as far as climate change is concerned, as I've elaborated in this discussion, on that the time was really very little and compressed. We couldn't exhaust each and everything in its wider perspective, but it's really very good show, and I bring once again the greetings from the Party President. I thank you so much.
All right, Jibril.
Well,
are you going to give trees to Mr. Okeya in Bukedia?
Well,
because he says he needs more trees and needs to be supported.
First of all, we thank local people for coming up, as well as taking interest in restoration programs. We appreciate the demand of trees across the country, and we also, yesterday I was talking to Mr. Stewart, the NFA Plantation Director, talking about how the peak of people's request for trees is increasing. This is appreciated, and Mr. Okeya in Bukedia, go to the environmental officer, shows you, let him show you where the nursery bed for NFA is, write and request seedlings. And if you don't find them there, you find private operators in the town who are in forestry programs. Talk to one of them, get the contacts, again call us. We shall take care of that section. Again, let local people, as far as the church leaders, mosque leaders, start talking about environment change. When they preach today, let the next service be on environment protection, because we are all responsible. Encourage the local people to take actions. For the case of our areas of operation, even I'm not sure whether this radio goes down there, but I would request you that it's rainy season, and we are hoping to again hit the activities on My Tree, My Name drives across schools as well as religious boundaries. Operations on Nyakachita to Fort Portal Road are ongoing, and maybe our friends of SFC in Kaweweta, they just took 1,000 and the plantation is going on. We have records. We continue collecting we intend to collect GPS coordinates from all our partners, our friends who are taking part in restoration programs. For easy follow-up, let's all be responsible. We shall achieve the target points. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. Commissioner, as you wrap up.
Yes, thank you.
Final comment.
Yeah, thank you, Amon. I want to use this opportunity. I believe maybe there will be a time in the future
where... Is it possible to use gas as the source of energy, as Mr. Cole has said?
Yes, I think in the future I'll need a whole program to talk about what government is doing in as far as environment conservation is concerned. So I'll start by actually responding to a number of issues that were raised in studio, and then
in 1 minute, because our time is fast spent.
to go into the issues of what government is doing, maybe for the benefit of my colleague Faizo, we look at forests as a renewable resource. Can be actually a source of all these other things that we consume at household level. Looking at the issue of charcoal, the issue of firewood, ideally from the first NDP, the idea was to set up these bioenergy forests. Whereas the drive or the uptake has not been very good, but at least, yes, there are efforts within that in that direction to have these bioenergy forests at household level. And then, and this can be for income, but at the same time, they do also the ecosystem function of forests.
Okay.
Then about the issue of a forest of government, ideally government has all these forests in central forest reserves that government has been restoring, rehabilitating in the different forests. We have strict nature reserves as zonation within forests where no activity, actually extractive activity happens, but then they also have the production zones where they allow people to do some harvesting. And depending on the management plan of whichever forest, we have those areas where we've allowed the private sector to plant trees for their commercial function, because we are not going to run out of the demand for forest products. And these things that buffer the indigenous trees by addressing that gap. Then I also want to state to you that, yes, government also has been implementing for the last 15 years the solar production grant scheme, which is a mechanism of subsidizing the private commercial planters to do to put up these, because that is a sustainable way that someone plants and then they are subsidized with a bit of grant.
Thank you.
Then I also want to
lastly
I want also to inform you that actually because of the need to reduce on the impact of energy sources, government has in the Ministry of Energy there is a program called Fumbi Sayaka where they've subsidized the bill for cooking, and then they're also giving out gas cylinders for those who can afford to fill them, but on condition that they are not using gas yet.
All right.
And then on the road reserves, we have the GROW,
the
green right of way, and these are ideally trees that are planted along the roads. We have MOUs with UNRA and at NFA where we are emphasizing particular specifications to be planted on the road reserve.
Thank you
and
so
then
much.
As I conclude,
please,
I also want to tell you, I also want to inform you that actually Mavira is not gone. Mavira is not
halfway gone.
No more. If you've been to Mavira, actually where there are those gaps is issues of enclaves, people who rightly own this land, except that they are surrounded by the forest.
All right.
And maybe the bigger problem in Mavira is the issue of invasive species in the areas that have been rescued. But going forward, we also have the Roots campaign, 40 million trees for every Ugandan, where we are looking at a tree for every Ugandan in your backyard, in the compound, at the schools. We have MOUs with the kingdoms, with the Interreligious Council. So ideally, like I mentioned, it's very important that probably maybe you bring us for a full program to bring out these issues.
Thank you, Commissioner. Our time is fast spent. We appreciate your time to talk to the people of Uganda. I've been talking about enhancing youth efforts in conserving the environment, and in the studios I had Isa Katwesige, is the Acting Assistant Commissioner Forestry in charge of planning and development from the Ministry of Water and Environment. I also had Dr. Jupriel Mugisha, Chairman Greening Uganda Campaign, and Mzee Faizo is the Head of Media and Communications from UPC Secretariat, and Josephine Nanteza is the Youth Leader and Kampala Youth Council Publicity. on every 5th June every year, we celebrate World Environment Day, where UN encourages us to participate in activities that protect the environment. While 12th August, we join the world to celebrate the International Youth Day, which was yesterday, and we join those two important events for this very important program to enlighten and inspire the people of Uganda on their noble role to conserve and protect the environment. And please, I will request everybody in this country to do all you can to protect and conserve the environment, because when the environmental disasters come, they affect all of us equally. Many thanks to the producers and management of the of UBC, our executive producer Doreen Ndezi and our producer Msimenta Allen. I worked with Bonnie Chen Win and Bob Brian Mugisha. Stay tuned for other important programs on these radios that we've been tuned in on West Nile FM and Butebo, and sports coming your way on Magic 100 FM, as George Ngobi is coming next on UBC Red with On the Journey. Ampaire Amon Obtega is my name. Until next time, same program, a different topic. I thank you, our guests and all our callers. Okay, from Ojok from Lira, okay, from Bukadia, Bosco from Mokono, Joshua from West Nile, and all those who called in, but we did not get time to pick your calls. Perhaps we shall get enough time and the next program, which is the next Saturday. Ampaire Amon Butega is my name, and for God and my country, I sign out.
That was Ground Zero Season 2, a production of Uganda Broadcasting Corporation.